Hey, this is D-Boy from West Coast Uncensored. How's everybody doing? Man, this is a late edition Sunday. As you know, we had the NFL playoff start. And let me do something here. Quick connecting something. Hey, this is D-Boy from West Coast Uncensored here talking about today as we had the divisional playoffs. The Sunday edition of a divisional playoffs. And again, the AFC game being so interesting. Started off similar to the to what happened yesterday to the to Baltimore, but definitely not the same result as the Houston went off and took a 24-0 lead into the first quarter. And looked like they're going to run away with it, and it looked dropped the same bomb that was dropped on. Definitely was dropped on the yesterday by the number one seed, the Baltimore Ravens, who definitely suffered yesterday, 14-2 record. And gosh, early were ousted and never got back in today. But that wasn't what happened in the AFC game, which was the first game today on CBS. After Houston, which took advantage of two turnovers by special teams, a block punt and a muffed punt, were able to take in a long pass to start the game off on the very first drive, took a 24-0 lead, got a late field goal. But that was when the game stopped. I mean, it was like the first half was two different games. We had two totally different games in the first and the second quarter. But once that second quarter rolled out into the third quarter, man, the Chiefs never looked back. They scored on, I believe, 7 straight possessions. Mahomes ended up with 5 touchdown passes, and Kansas City rolled. Man, they really did. They came back and rolled. They did what many thought the Ravens would do, and the Ravens didn't get back in at all. Man, Kansas City, who had turnovers and who could have got behind the 8 ball and pretty much gave it in, showed some intestinal fortitude bouncing back the way they did, because they could have easily been had, and the game could have easily got away from them, but it didn't. They stuck with it, and then there's about a quarter and a half that they outscored Houston 41-7 in about probably 22 to 23 minutes of football playing time, not actual time. As you know, 15 minutes is like 3 minutes regular. It takes roughly about an average of 45 minutes to play one quarter, which is a timed 15-minute quarter. So, man, they I have to give it to them, man. They really bounced back, and you could feel it as the way that, and it wasn't even bounced back the whole game. I mean, within one quarter, they took the lead. At the end of as we went into the end of the second quarter, they had scored 28 points and took a 28-24 lead after being down 24-0. And when I kind of seen that, but I had the feeling when they got that first touchdown that they were not done, because I was thinking to myself, okay, it was 24-7 second period. If they can get one more touchdown, hold them scoreless, and go down 24-14 at half in the second half, they're still in the game. They're a very explosive team. Patrick Mahomes is no joke. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and today he showed why. Mahomes really went on a tear in that run. Their defense, which has improved dramatically, did not have a bad game, even though you're going to look at the numbers and you're going to say, man, Deshaun Watson had a good game. But the reality is he was sacked 5-6 times. In Kansas, and the 20 and the 31 points on the scoreboard, 14 of them were definitely special teams. It was Kansas City's defense has improved the last 5-6 weeks dramatically. They just didn't get okay. They actually are good now. I know that they're playing next week, so they're going to host this AFC Championship next week, and that should be a good game. You talk about 2 matchups for next week that are going to be matchups of teams that are opposite from each other. You're talking about polar opposites. The very physical Tennessee Titans will roll into Kansas City where they're 6 yards in a cloud of dust. We won't call it 3, because definitely Derrick Henry doesn't do 3. They do have good athletes on the outside, but they make their money on play action pass and playing off the run. Old traditional smash mouth football. They're a good defensive team. Actually, they're a very good defensive team, and you can't deny what the Titans have did. They back-to-back weeks. They just beat the number one seed yesterday, took care of them pretty handily, dominated the game, and played it out. Derrick Henry rushing for close to 190, I believe. He ended up with 190, 192, I believe. And then the week before, beating and possibly many people thinking ended the dynasty, which remains to be seen. I mean, I can see why you would think that way with the ages and stuff. And I'm going to take my glasses off because there's that reflection. But definitely, this is a little late. You know, we're about 11 p.m. So if you're hearing it on the East Coast, this would be what, 11 p.m. Looking at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time a.m. But it's 11 o'clock p.m. Yeah, I mean, they rolled. The Chiefs showed me a lot of intestinal fortitude and their comeback wasn't, what was amazing, their comeback was within a quarter. In the second half, they just rolled and dominated, and they stretched their lead up to 21 points, I believe. They got up by as much as 48 to 20, 52 to 24, I believe, 51 to 24. And then it's in the final score, 51 to 31. Going away after that first quarter, actually the last three quarters was all Kansas City, offensively and defensively, really just owned it. A lot of the, Deshaun's numbers are going to look going, but that's blown up. A lot of that was they were behind and they were playing soft defense, so they were getting yards, but they still didn't finish drives. They fell short in a lot of fourth down failures, but the game was decided. Kansas City just went on a roll and just really massacred them. And those last three quarters, after, like I said, after that start, you really kind of were thinking, man, is Houston going to host Tennessee? But man, Kansas City came back. Good shout out for Andy Reid. And, I'm getting this little Andy Reid, been a great coach in this league. Went through a lot with his sons. Great, with Donovan McNabb in the Philadelphia days, but never getting that Super Bowl, losing into the Super Bowl to the Patriots. Wondering if Andy Reid can get a Super Bowl this year. I know the NFC teams, definitely have a lot to say about that, but definitely, we're looking at some things going on here that are definitely a little different. And man, Kansas City rolled. So Kansas City will host the Titans next Sunday for the AFC Championship and the right to go to Super Bowl. The NFC game, the last game of the day, was somewhat. Green Bay jumped up. Green Bay was dominant. They were able to run the ball. Green Bay's a different. They're 14-3, which is a great record. If you look at their numbers and stuff, Aaron Rodgers wasn't that Aaron Rodgers where you think they're gonna roll big numbers and stuff. They really got a sound ground game. And Aaron, the running back, Aaron, what's his name? Aaron on. God darn, I hate that. But anyways, the running backs had a really good year. They're solidly running the football, and they were able to mix up in the first half their play action passes, and their tossing, and been able to run the ball. Aaron Jones, that's it. Run the ball with Aaron Jones has been effective all year. Really done well for them. They're a different team. They're not the old Green Bay. They definitely are different. I know some people are like, really, what are they? But you can't really. 14-3 is a very good record. I mean, they don't totally jump off as being dominant, but they got a young new coach. They got definitely a veteran, top-notch Super Bowl MVP and national, regular season MVP in Aaron Rodgers. Definitely, they jumped and took a 21-3 lead into half. The Seahawks came back like they always do. Well coached, great. They just never die. Seems like you can't just put them away and bury them. They're always going to be in the game, take you down the last possessions. And they did. They came back and they ended up scoring 3 touchdowns in the second half, and ended up having possession where they could have scored and won, and they didn't get the first down on fourth down. And they ended up turning it over in downs. But on second, I believe it was first or second down, there was a drop pass, which would have been the first down. And when he dropped it, I said, that could be costly. And it was costly. They didn't finish that drive and get the first down. And then they got the ball back on downs. Their defense made stops in the second half, the score ended up being 28-23. Green Bay only scored 1 touchdown in the second half. And they did get the ball back. They elected to punt late, and I just thought that was. I personally thought they needed to go for it. I know it was fourth and long, but I just had the feeling if you punt it, you may not see it again, and they didn't. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers pulled off 2 big third down completions to run the clock down low, and in which allowed Seattle never had a chance. And Seattle was hampered. The end of the year, losing those 3 running backs in those last couple of weeks really, really, really hurt them. And you could just, and then Brown, who was there today, didn't play for like 3 weeks. Their best offensive lineman. He did play today, but they just lost momentum. Think about that last game against the 49ers. If they score that touchdown and win that game, this whole situation flips from first seed to 5th seed. And, what do they fall? Like a half a foot short in that last regular season game to win the division, which would have gave them the number 1 seed and which would have flipped the Niners to the 5th seed. It didn't happen that way. The Niners held. Niners are going to host, so Green Bay. The Niners look really dominant. I'm going to be honest. The Niners are really quick on defense. That's really and have a really quick, and they're very good tacklers, and they put a thump on you. Nice big defensive lineman, good linebacking, is really solid in the secondary. They're better in the secondary than I thought they would be. I thought that was going to be their Achilles heel before the season started. I definitely thought they were good at the D line, but I thought their secondary. And they did, Weatherspoon had to be taken out in the playoff game after Diggs beat him for that 41-yard touchdown pass, but his replacement came in and laid a thump on a couple of people. So I think looking at the game, you're going to say, I don't see how the 49ers can't go to the Super Bowl, but I would say they're the favorite, but usually it just can be really weird. You never know. You got to really be buttoned up because, when I looked at the game that happened today, and what happened yesterday with Baltimore, special teams costly. I thought special teams was going to be costly to Kansas City, but then Kansas City reversed it on their comeback in those times that Houston had some mishaps. Fumbling that kickoff was just, I thought, a dramatic fumble. It was already changing, but, 24-14, then you fumble after that on the kickoff, and they punch it in, and it's all of a sudden, with still time left, your 24-0 lead is 24-21. But, football's a whole thing. There's a reason you call it special teams. Is that special plays happen on special teams, whether it's offense or defense. When I used to coach football, I always believed you play your best players on special teams because it's a special moment. It is a special team which requires special players to interact. So, Green Bay was able to hold on. Aaron Rodgers made big completions to solidify and end the game. They didn't get it back. I thought they should have went for it on 4th down because I just had a feeling they did get it back, though. I just said they may not get it back, but then they I don't know, some questionable calls late to me and decision making by Seattle. And Seattle couldn't come back all the way. Like I said, their momentum at the end of the season, after those injuries to Brown and the 3 best running backs they had, they ran the ball well. I mean, Seattle was really running the ball in the regular season well with those guys. I know they brought Marshawn in, but there's a reason he was on he wasn't playing. I'd rather Seattle had 3 running backs that were there. They were playing all year. That you definitely would want to do it. But by the look and what I see, and what the 49ers can do. The Achilles heel, the one thing I really wondered, and I've wondered all year, is if things don't go the 49ers' way, meaning they get into a place, and if you were to limit their running game, play really good defense, limit their running game, can Garoppolo put them on their things, can he beat you? And I'm not, I haven't seen it. He hasn't had a lot of, he doesn't have a lot of experience. Do I think he's got the talent? Yeah, I'm not going to put him down to say he can't. But if I was a defensive coordinator, that's what I would do. I want to say, can Garoppolo beat me? And I guess we're going to see next week. By just looking at the physically and just kind of looking at them, you look at San Francisco, and they're definitely the favorite. They're at home. Can Green Bay make and force them to rely on the passing game to get them through? That would be my question. If he can't and things go that way, and the way these games are going, who's going to make the critical special teams plays or special teams mistakes? I definitely think the 49ers coach, Shanahan, is definitely a great offensive coordinator. He's got that guru tag that we put on a lot of these young coaches, but he definitely has his mix and has a lot of movement within his offense. Can the Packers be buttoned up enough to limit the run? And Minnesota actually did a good job in the first half, limiting the run. But what happened to Minnesota was the fact that they could not move the ball consistently. They couldn't run the ball. When Minnesota 15 yards running with Dalvin Cook, one of the best, that's when I say, man, San Francisco's tough. You definitely got to be on to play them, you better be on your stuff, the quarterback for the Packers. And I know the 49ers kind of gave it to the Packers the first game. I think they kind of dominated them. The Packers defense got to be on it. But, I trust Aaron Rodgers way more than I trust Kirk Cousins. He's definitely elite. And if I'm Green Bay, man, I want to get my defense settled down. And your offense has got to move the ball and get first downs and not let your defense be on the field, because the Vikings defense was just on the field too much. Then they went to the ground game, and they were just on the field too much and wore down. But they did have some limiting the running game in the first and second quarter. Definitely noticed that. They weren't just shredding them. They were stuffing 2 or 3 yards. But then as the game carried on, Minnesota's offense could not stay on the field and solidify any drives, which ended up wore down that Minnesota defense. I'm not gonna. Later, I'll do some videos to kind of make my picks on this, but I definitely think that we are in a situation. We got 2 championship games. I think it's going to we're going to kick off next 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern, maybe a little 3:05, 12:05. Tennessee at KC, and then probably 3:30, 3:40, kind of like today. You'll get the Packers at the 49ers for the NFC Championship. That will be next Sunday, and what you're doing is you're getting a full load of what's going to happen. We're going down to the Super Bowl, man. There's only 2 more NFL games before the Super Bowl. There's only 3 for the season, including the Super Bowl. It's coming down to this, man. We're going to be back pretty soon. I think I'm going to do another video tonight on some other things, but man, and later on I'll do a video, and I got a website, man. We just got it. We just getting it polished. I was polishing it up today and tonight. That's why I'm doing these videos. A little excited about it. West Coast Uncensored.com, man. Help me out. Get on it. I'm gonna be linking these videos on there from YouTube. And we're going to be really doing it to it. We're going to push this. Want to get people involved. I'd love to get some of the people I know that love sports. West Coast Uncensored, we're going to do all sports. And even there's some sports I don't cover. I don't mind doing some collaborated things with people that know about soccer. Got some people that know soccer or the world football, as they call it football everywhere else but here. They're doing it to it. We're going to move them. West Coast Uncensored, man. You got to do your vision, man. I appreciate guys like Ryback. I appreciate guys like Gary V. Do your passion. If you do your passion, it's really not working. You guys have a great day from West Coast Uncensored. See ya.